Hi guys, it's Amber from Amber Eats Books, and I'm here today to bring you my weekly reads video. This is the video where I discuss what I read in the last couple of weeks, what I'm currently reading, and what I hope to read for the upcoming week. I have not filmed in over 2 weeks, and it was not intentional. It was just something that happened. My life has been kind of busy lately. My best friend came to visit for almost 10 days, so that took up a lot of my energy and time. I wasn't really reading while she was here, and I just did not have the, like I said, the energy to film videos. Also, it is the end of the school year right now. We still have about 2.5 weeks left of school, and it just seems like they tend to cram all of the events that they have in the last couple of months of school. So it's just been kind of non-stop, a lot of things happening, and I always have to take time for myself to rest and relax, because if I don't, I get very burnt out and I just become a miserable person. I know a lot of you can relate to that. I'm such an introvert at heart, and always being on and always having to entertain and always having to go places and do things really drains my energy. So there's few times when I have had downtime, I've really had to take it for myself, because I just won't function if I don't. So going forward, I have so many ideas for new videos and new series I want to do. They've just kind of been coming rapid fire while I've been off on this break. So the break was sort of good in that regard. And I want to sit down and actually film those videos and get them out there, but I don't know when that will happen. Like I said, we still have 2.5 weeks left. We still have a lot of things to get through in those 2.5 weeks. My work schedule will kind of be up in the air because I'm a school bus driver, and our schedule will not be our regular school schedule for many of those days. So it may have to wait until the end of the month when I'm actually on summer break. Once I'm on summer break, my time is just going to open up so much, and I can't wait. But anyway, let's get into the books that I have been able to read. The first book I'd like to talk about is If You Only Knew by Kristan Higgins. This was our May pick for #OnTheBookTubeshelf, which is a book club that I help host here on BookTube. If you guys are interested in joining, I will leave all the information down below. We read a wide variety of genres, so this month just happened to be a contemporary romance. Now, a couple of the girls that were supposed to do the updates and the wrap-up have just gotten very busy with life, which we can all understand, and they are just not going to be able to do those for us. So I'm just going to do a quick little overview wrap-up right now. I'm not going to go into details or anything, but I definitely want to at least give you my thoughts and my feelings on reading this book. So this is a story of two sisters. The first sister, Jenny, is a wedding dress designer who lives in Manhattan. She has decided that her ex-husband, his new wife, and baby are just a little too close for comfort. They want to basically be her best friends, and she does not want that. She just kind of wants to remove herself and start over somewhere else. So she goes back to her hometown and opens her own little wedding dress shop. She rents an apartment, and there is a super who lives underneath, and she kind of starts to develop some feelings for him. That's as far as I'll go with that storyline. The other story is follows Rachel, who is a happily married woman who has triplets. She stays at home, she raises the kids, she's very happy with her life, and then one day just realizes through a course of events that maybe her happy marriage isn't as happy as she thought it was. And it kind of follows her journey on dealing with the consequences and things like that. I will say, because contemporary romance isn't my go-to genre, I was a little hesitant picking it up. I just didn't know if I would like it, but I was pleasantly surprised. I actually really enjoyed it. I rated it 3 stars. So no, it wasn't life-changing or anything like that. I will not go back and reread it, but I really did enjoy what I read. Jenny's story was probably not my favorite in the beginning. I was really into Rachel's story, but then somewhere around the halfway mark, that kind of switched for me, and Jenny's story ended up being my favorite towards the end, and I wasn't a fan of Rachel's story. I will say, there were just many times in these books with these characters, especially Rachel, a couple times with Jenny, but especially with Rachel, that I just wanted to bang her head against a wall and say, "Wake up, what are you doing?" So it was a little frustrating at times to read, but in a good way. It's like one of those ways where you can watch a TV show and be completely disgusted by what the people are doing, but you have to keep watching and have to keep reading, or whatever the case may be for this, to find out what happens, because you've invested so much time and energy into it. And the storytelling is actually quite good. So Again, it wasn't my absolute favorite novel or anything, but I really did like it enough to try more books by this author and to maybe give contemporary romance a little bit more of a chance in the future. So it may have opened just a little bit of a door into the contemporary romance genre for me. So we will see how that goes in the future. The first line in this book is, "Today is one of those days when I realized that staying friends with my ex-husband was a huge mistake." The next book that I'd like to talk about is one that I listened to on audiobook, and that is What I Know for Sure by Oprah Winfrey. This is actually, I think, a collection of the articles that she wrote for her O magazine under the same title. I absolutely adored this book. It was an easy listen, first of all, because Oprah Winfrey is a great narrator. Just her style is soothing and she just pauses in the right places. I just absolutely love that about it. But also the stories were so uplifting and really made you think and just had these qualities about them that you thought you were just listening basically to a friend talking to you, and then somewhere that friend played a mind trick and all of a sudden you're contemplating life and what it means to you. It was just fantastic. So I ended up rating it 4 stars. I don't have the first line because it was an audiobook. The next book that I read was Anne of Green Gables by Ella Montgomery. I absolutely loved this book. I fell in love with Anne so much. She is so feisty and spirited and just has this way about her that I just ate up. I loved it. I read it in the Puffins Bloom edition, I believe. It was a beautiful edition, but I had to give it back to the library because someone had put a hold on it. But I've placed it on my Amazon wish list because I need to own a copy of this book. Plus, I would love to read the other books in the series. I love the writing. I love the time period. I love the characters, the descriptions of, Green Gables. I just loved everything about it. I also wrote down the first line because I knew I was going to make a wrap-up video on it, and this first line is the longest first line that I've ever seen. So I'm going to attempt to read it. By the way, I gave the book 4 stars. Mrs. Rachel Lynde lived just where the Avonlea main road dipped down into a little hollow, fringed with alders and ladies' eardrops, and traversed by a brook that had its source away back in the woods of Old Cuthbert Place. It was reputed to be an intricate, headlong brook in its earlier course through those woods, with dark secrets of pool and cascade. But by the time it reached Lynn's Hollow, it was a quiet, well-conducted little stream. For not even a brook could run past Mrs. Rachel Lynde's door without due regard for decency and decorum. It probably was conscious that Mrs. Rachel was sitting at her window, keeping a sharp eye on everything that passed, from brooks and children up, and that, if she noticed anything odd or out of place, she would never rest until she had ferreted out the whys and wherefores thereof. What a mouthful, but great, great book. The last book that I was able to finish was The Sylvan Octopus by Sylvan Montgomery. This is a nonfiction account of her time spent in the New England Aquarium in Boston, working with the octopuses that they had there. I absolutely adored the way that she wrote about these octopuses. She just gave them so much life and so much personality, which I didn't know octopuses really had. They're so clever and intelligent, and she definitely conveyed that in her writing. I also enjoyed learning a little bit about the behind-the-scenes stuff at the aquarium, and I just loved her relationships that she was able to not only develop with the staff, but also with these creatures. So I really, really enjoyed it, and I highly recommend everyone give this a shot. I mean, her writing is great. She gets you emotionally invested, as well as also provides you with many scientific, just little facts and things here and there. So it's very educational, but also emotionally rewarding while you read this. I will say for me, I also loved thinking about the New England Aquarium because I had visited it back in 2013. So as she was writing this, she was talking about the refurbishment to the giant ocean tank that is in the middle of the aquarium. It's this huge tank that spans all the floors of the aquarium and has hundreds of different marine life in there. I was able to go back in this book and figure out the timeline, and I was able to figure out which octopus it was that I saw when we visited. So I know now the background of that octopus, and it's just really amazing. It was just such a personal touch for me to realize that. Also, I didn't realize this is a library copy that I actually think I had to request from another library, but it is signed by the author, which I thought was really cool. So the first line in this 4-star read is, on a rare warm day in mid-March, when the snow was melting into mud in New Hampshire, I traveled to Boston, where everyone was strolling along the harbor or sitting on benches licking ice cream cones. So now let's talk about what I am currently reading, and that is These Shallow Graves by Jennifer Donnelly. This is a murder mystery set in 1890. So far, I am absolutely loving this book. I'm hooked to it. I actually believe this is a YA novel. I'd have to double check that when I do my wrap up, but I think it is. I'm on page 102 and I can't put this down now. I'm so hooked and invested. I want to know what happens. So I'm definitely looking forward to letting you guys know what I thought of this next week. So now into what I hope to read in the upcoming week. I don't know how many of these books I'll actually get through, but I have 3 books that you've all seen before here on this channel. I've showed you a couple of times now, but because I took that long time off of reading, I have so many books due back to the library, so I really have to get through them, or I'm just going to have to say, you know what, I have to give them back. So the 3 that are due first that I'm really going to try and get to is Shelter, Horns by Joe Hill, and A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. So I will see what I get to. I'm not sure. What have you guys been reading these past couple of weeks? Did you read anything that you absolutely adored? Did you read anything that you really didn't like? Let me know down in those comments below. I have missed interacting with you guys. I've tried to watch as many YouTube videos as possible, but I just had such a backlog that even when I watched them, I wasn't always commenting on them because I was just trying to get through as many as I could so I could get caught up and be able to go back to my regular interactions and comments with you guys. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great week and happy reading.